Every business person has a code. It has a few things that keeps them out of trouble, into trouble. You never know what causes it, but there are a few things that every business person should have that helps them get through the hard times and not take the good times too seriously. Let's go. One of the important things to me that I guide my life by is never implement advice from others. No matter who it is, the richest person, Bill Gates, can walk through the door and I'll be like, all right, I want to hear what you have to say. I'll study with what you have to say, but I can't implement your advice. I have to look deep down inside of me, see what I want, see if this advice makes sense, and then put it into my context. There's too many times I see people going on YouTube and implementing exact stories. That person doesn't know your entire story, right? That person doesn't know that you're asking them how to open a restaurant, but when you go to sleep at night, you kind of think you want to be a pig farmer. These are the kind of things you have to put in your mind when you get an advice from persons and say, okay, I like what you did, I heard what you said, and then I'm gonna get information from other sources, put it together in my own way for my current year and time of doing business and the type of business I'm in, and then implement that advice based on the outlook of the future that I want, the results I want, the goals I have set for myself. And then I'll go do it, see what it is, and then if you can go back to the same person and get more advice based on another part of your life where you are now, that'll be cool. So number 2, always look for the person in your field to get advice from. Why do you want to be a real estate developer, yet you went to a friend that's a restaurant owner that has 20 restaurants, he has $10 million in the bank, and think that he'll be able to tell you how to be a real estate investor, right? Because people are successful and have money, it doesn't mean that they know how you can get to your goal based on the business that you're in. Yes, most business, the underlying factors are the same. The underlying principles are the same. But if you want to get specific advice from someone that you respect in the results that you want to get to, you have to go and ask people that have walked your road. The road that you think you want to walk, the mountain you think you want to climb. Because that other person climbed the mountain that's similarly as high doesn't mean that it's the same climate as the one that you want to climb. You have to figure out who's in the position that you want to be in. And once you figure out who that person is, you research them, see if you respect them, see if they have the results that you want, then have a conversation with them. And even after you have the conversation, remember, back to number 1, never implement that advice the way they put it. The overall arching thing of getting liquidity is the same, but how they did it might be different. But you still have to implement it back to what you want inside. Do you want 10 restaurants or do you want 1? Do you want a global brand or do you want a local brand? All these things matter when you're implementing advice, and it should only be implemented. That action plan should come from within. It can't come from someone else. Number 3, one of my favorites. 1 step back equals 2 steps forward. I can't tell you how many times I had to tell myself this. There's so many failures in business that you don't really see it. And if you kind of wallow in those failures, you never move forward. So you can take this in many different aspects. 1 step back, 2 step forward can mean if you invest, you will be catapulted forward. Or you can look at it from this failure today will stop me from making a bigger failure tomorrow. Or you can look at it from the aspect of taking a bad deal. When I first started my business, I went to the bank. I got a credit card, which was a terrible interest rate. And I got another loan that was a terrible interest rate. The bank manager watched, he just looked at me and he said, hey, you sure you're gonna beat this? And for like 10 years, we had like a running joke. Every time he sees me, he said, hey, you beating that rap? I'm like, yeah, I already beat that rap 10 years ago. I already beat it 7 years ago. I already beat it 5 years ago because we always refinance, right? It's like you might take a bad deal now and it might seem like a step backward based on the bills and the risk and the liquidity that you need. But if you can outgrow that, if you can outwork that, if you can figure out a way to use that debt or that deal or that mistake you made in business, whatever it is, you can now use that to catapult forward. One of the biggest things, again, with 1 step back, 2 step forward is investment. There are numerous people, even now, when people come to us for advice, they have more money in their bank account than they ever had before. They now made it to 30,000, have 30,000 in their account, or they have 300,000, and it becomes hard to reinvest that money because no one that comes from no money wants to see a lump sum of money that you never had before and then reinvest it on a risk that the money will not come back. So people get kind of anxious that, oh, I had 30,000 yesterday and now I had to pay a bill for 25. Now I only have 5, I'm broke. And they never stop to think. But when the numbers start to get big and the numbers start to get beyond what they expected, with their head down and actually put it into work, it gets harder when that bill is $157,000. It's bills, the bills we have, it's payroll, it's reinvesting for more products, it's investing more into the business. It's hard because the money's going out. But you got to remember, you got to feel as good with that money going out as you feel when it's coming in. And that's the way how you're going to grow. If you always hold on to that money, it can't circulate. Remember, the money has to circulate. And if you don't put it in circulation, it can't come back. The pot can't get bigger. It can't come back because now you held that money. You have to find a way to be responsible with your money. Take that one step backward to catapult 2 steps forward, maybe 3, maybe 5, maybe 8, according to your investment. So number 4 is perfection is the enemy of progress. I like to call this like failure to launch. So many people try to script their entire business. They're gonna write this perfect plan, and for the first 3 years, they're gonna do this, and they're gonna now, after they get the plan and everything set in place, now they're gonna start. I'm like, that's not how this works. I gave an example of a talk. Someone started a bakery and they only sell cupcakes. They have world famous vanilla cupcakes and chocolate cupcakes. All right. Every time a customer comes in and buys a chocolate cupcake, they ask for strawberry. Now, the person is promising the customers that they're gonna get strawberry. But what do? They go in the kitchen, they make the strawberry. It doesn't come out to their liking. The taste isn't as good as the vanilla and chocolate that they've been making for 10 years. They now want to practice for a year. They want to practice for 2 years before they can launch this magical strawberry cupcake. And we're like, no, what you need to do, or what you should do, make the cupcake and put it out. The experience you have from making that vanilla and chocolate cupcake is gonna compound into that strawberry one. Put it out, allow the customers to taste it. If you're insecure about it, get your favorite top 10 or top 15 customers, give them a sample for free. Let them tell you what they like about the cupcake. You practicing for a year to get it to the way you like it won't work, because remember, your customers are not pastry chefs, right? They don't have the same taste that you have. They don't detect the kind of subtleties that you might. So your 70% of a cupcake is their 100% of a cupcake. But while you're busy trying to make it perfect, they're buying that strawberry cupcake from Sally down the street. So now you're out. Sally is down the street making chocolate chip, pistachio, all type of different cupcakes. So whenever you feel the need to kind of take a break, perfect it, wait a year and then launch your product, it always turns out to be that you're behind for a year instead of catching up and making those people a part of your story. You have to make the customer a part of your story. If you let them taste it, if you let them feel it, it's too small, it's too big, what is it really? They can now give you input, and instead of waiting for a year to launch that product, then you can be doing it incrementally and getting the benefit from your customer and from the feedback from everyone else. Number 5, always invest in your security before you invest in your comfort. This one is always misjudged because people normally think it means pulling money out of the business to buy comfort items, luxury items, things like that. That's not really the case. What happens is there's an opportunity cost between what you need to buy and what you have to buy. For example, if you're in a product service business like myself, you might be thinking you import products, you need to put them in a warehouse, they need to be offloaded. If something needs to be offloaded, what's a natural thing that you need to do? You need equipment, maybe something like a forklift or something else. Maybe a forklift costs about $30,000. Now you have to wonder whether you should get the forklift or invest that money into something else. You may have been in a sales meeting that morning and the salesperson is telling you 2 of your largest clients need this particular SKU. Now you have to choose if you're gonna do a revenue building activity or you're gonna choose an activity that's gonna make it easier for you to get those items into the warehouse. It's easy to kind of figure out which one you want to do, but it's conflicting because if you get the items in quicker, you can probably sell them quicker. But if you don't use your capital and your cash flow correctly, you might miss out on that opportunity with those customers and they might go to the next vendor, which is never good. So sometimes it's hard to figure out what is security and what is comfort. Another example for product service. Say, for instance, you wanted to deliver your items and your operational team is telling you, hey, we need another van. For some reason, we just can't deliver these items. Something is wrong. We're not keeping up with the deliveries. Yet, you need another salesperson. You had them lined up to kind of start the job to bring in more sales. Now, in the example before, we picked the revenue building activity because that was security. But now, the security would be the delivery van. Why? Because you have to secure the customers that you already have. You can't afford to leave those customers in the wind to get more customers. Your customers are complaining. They can't get the product on time. You need to make a conscious effort to get those items to your customers when they expected what was the agreement in the beginning. So even though you wanted to do the revenue building activity, even though the revenue building activity might give you more opportunity in the future, right now, that's comfort. And the security will be those delivery vans that you need to make sure that your current business, your current customers, the current people feeding your business are satisfied and keep them as repeat customers and keep them coming back. It's always difficult to figure out which one is security and which one is comfort. It's just opportunity cost in business, and you have to be around your business. You have to look at the business. You have to research other businesses like yours and see what the steps are and which one is better for you to do in the current climate and for your goals that you want to accomplish. So let's recap. First, never implement ideas or advice from other people. Secondly, always look for the person in your field to get advice from. 3, 1 step back, 2 step forward. You always have to reinvest into your business to catapult forward. 4, perfection is the enemy of progress. Remember, that's one of my favorites. Just do it. Put it out. Put it out. Let the market decide what is good and what is bad. Your own worst enemy is in your head. You need to put the product out, make sure they can see it. Number 5, always invest in your security before you invest in your comfort. So now that you have these 5 things as a code, my name is Sinclair Fleming. Now go do something.